Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our afternoon session. We both work for Ampelmann. I'm Michael van Outelemke. I work as a business developer.
And I'm Rick van Ende. I'm a feasibility engineer.
So behind us is our Ampelmann E-Type, one of our main products which have helped grow our company. I'm very excited today to talk to you not only about our products, but mainly about our services, which have helped our company become successful.
So this is a pre-recorded session, so we take 15 minutes to talk about our company and 5 minutes for questions. So please put your questions into the chat and we'll answer them afterwards. So Michael, it's time to take it away.
So to start talking about Ampelmann, it's perhaps good to explain the offshore environment which we're working in. So we work in the offshore industry, and offshore every day huge amounts of people have to go to work offshore. They have many different types of jobs to do, such as maintenance and inspections. However, getting to their workplace is not as easy. In this picture you see an image of a traditional oil and gas platform with a helideck. So here you can go by helicopter. But how do you do that with offshore wind when you want to go to a wind turbine to do your work there? Of course you can't go by helicopter. So how do you reach these? Well, now the offshore wind industry is quite developed and it's established, but back in 2002 this was a very new industry, and this was one of the biggest technical challenges. So our founders went to an offshore exhibition or an offshore conference in Berlin in 2002, and they thought about this and came up with a solution which they codenamed Ampelmann. So this is what they came up with. It's an offshore motion compensated gangway. And what this does is it provides a stable walkway or a gangway for offshore personnel to go from a vessel to their work destination. And it does this safely by fully compensating all of the vessel motions, which result from the waves, of course. This is much safer than other traditional methods of offshore access and was really a game changer when it was invented. So this was a huge technical innovation, and it brought us to a lot of success. We are now a global company with over 400 people. We have more than 60 gangways. We've transferred over 6 million people safely, and we have offices worldwide. But it would be unfair to say that this success came easy, because how do you reach the market and how do you sell these? Well, the truth is we started trying to sell them, but we actually struggled a lot. And that's because the offshore industry is very challenging. It's high risk, it's high cost, and it's very important that your equipment is reliable. And when you're trying to introduce a new product, people are reluctant to invest in it and to try it. We did see a lot of interest in the product itself, but there were just too many risks associated to be able to sell it. So what did we do? We went to a rental model. And how does that work? Well, we managed to establish a sort of triangle of communication where we rent our equipment. So we have the end users or the contractors on this slide, and they of course need a gangway. They need to get their personnel offshore. We provide the gangway, but we don't have any vessels, so that's where the vessel owners come in. And how this works is we have communication between us and the end user, between us and the vessel owner, and the contractor and the vessel owner. And this results in us being able to provide the best service. So by renting, we actually get benefits for all involved companies. So for the contractor, there's a few very clear ones. They don't need a high initial investment. There's no hassle. When they need a gangway, they rent a vessel with one, and they have a very short lead time. For the vessel owners, it's quite similar. They also don't need to invest in expensive equipment. No hassle, we provide the full service. We install it on their vessel, we do the maintenance. It's just a worry-free operation, and it's availability on demand. So what's probably good to know about this industry is that the vessel owners, they do all sorts of works. These vessels are multi-purpose. They're like Swiss Army knives, and you can put different types of equipment on them. So they don't necessarily want to invest in one type of work because then they might miss out on others. Rental for us also brings its benefits because we still keep our systems in our own control. We can guarantee safe operation. We can provide optimal performance. We have our name tied to this, and we can really do premium service, as well, of course, as having the recurring revenues that you get with a rental model. So rental is, of course, one thing, but what is it that really made us big from a service perspective? Well, we found that there's several key services that we now deliver, which are really appreciated by our customers. First of all, this equipment that we have is very big and expensive, which I mentioned before. And it's very expensive, especially to install and to remove from vessels. So this is something we've focused on. We've decreased our mobilization or installation time to less than 24 hours, which is incredibly fast for the scale of this kind of equipment. Also, reliability is key in the offshore industry. if anything fails, an entire project can stop. You have personnel as well as expensive assets which aren't being utilized, but still cost a lot of money. So we have a very strict maintenance regime, as well as having all of our critical spares on board on stock. Together with this, with our spare parts, we have our operators offshore, and we have our operations control center. So this is a 24/7 hotline, which receives all new data on our systems from a technical perspective, but is also available for emergency calls in case anything fails and they need assistance offshore. Then finally, we have a very short response time. By setting up global offices, we have worldwide presence. We have equipment globally spread out as well. And this enables us to be very quick in our response. So if anything does critically fail, we can always change equipment, as well as having people on site to work on our equipment. So this has been very successful for us, this business model. And the question, I guess, that we've been asking ourselves as well is this rental model, product as a service, is that the future for Ampelmann? Well, the truth is we don't see this as the holy grail for us, because there's also quite some benefits to sell and service. And one of the things that we're experiencing now is that while 10 years ago we were the first with this kind of product, the market is maturing, and we see a whole new type of market which is starting to grow and gain traction. And what do we see? As these gangways and this method of working is becoming more common, we actually see that vessel owners find that they can dedicate their vessels to this kind of work, and that they might want to invest in having a gangway installed permanently because they can get enough work for it. For the contractors, they've also become very familiar with this. They know how reliable it is and how much benefit it adds, so they're taking this into account for longer projects. And for this, they also want guaranteed availability, because they now have scope of work for a gangway for 10 or 20 years in the future without interruption. Selling is quite interesting because it, of course, guarantees availability. It reduces life cycle costs, but for us, it also adds some benefits. Of course, we get more short-term revenue from this, and that's very beneficial because we can use that to fuel our innovation and keep on investing money. Also, we see this as an expanding market. The companies who are interested in buying our gangways are commonly quite different than the ones that we're renting our equipment to. So this is just a way to expand our business globally. Well, this is of course our business model. That's one of the key drivers for us, but that's not the only thing. Another thing we believe in strongly is innovation. And I'll now hand over to Rick to tell you a bit more about how we innovate.
Thanks, Michael. Oh. So, how do we change the game? How do we stay innovative, and how do we maintain a competitive edge at Ampelmann? So I think first of all, it's interesting to tell that one of Ampelmann's strengths is that we have a really innovative culture. And I'm not just saying that, but we've started with 4 people a little bit over 10 years ago. And now we have grown to this company over 300 people. We're a worldwide market leader. That means that our organization has changed all the time, and that people are used to changing the structure of the work and change the way of working. So in that way, we encounter simply a lot less resistance when we try to bring something new to the market or introduce a new idea within the company. So how does that bring us to reimagining offshore access? So what is this big new idea, the big question mark? What is going to be the future? So on the one hand side, we are equipment supplier. So we continuously try to improve our products, develop new systems, and make our systems better, more efficient, more sustainable. We continuously want to challenge the status of our current products, but also develop new ones. As a service provider, we continuously need to improve and adjust our services to the needs of the market. So we continuously have to improve. So we see that in, for example, that we have connected all our systems to the cloud. So all our systems are now online, which means that if a component is about to fail, the people onshore in the office or operation control center will get a alert, alarm code, and they will know that the system is going to fail even before it fails. So we can instruct the operator, give them the right procedures, what to do, so that we can keep a high uptime. Furthermore, we also try to innovate with other services we can provide to our clients. So we do not only deliver our product, but we also want to deliver an online dashboard where our clients are able to see how they are running their operation. So they can improve their own operation, check their efficiency, and monitor how they are doing. So I want to give you one example of how we are thinking in an innovative manner as being a product supplier and also a service supplier. So what if we could make offshore access as easy as crossing the street, what we're already doing, but make it available to anyone? So we now have a system for which you need to rent a vessel and the Ampelmann system, combine it and plan your operation. But what if we could create like an Uber of the offshore environment, so that you can simply take the service to bring you and your crew to a specific point without all the hassle around it. So one of the obstacles that we encountered here, the vision is great, but how do we actually bring this to practice? Well, how we started is with one of the problems is that there is no vessel that's really designed to commute back and forth with an Ampelmann system. So we started this partnership with Damen. They are great at building ships and we are great at building gangways. So together we start this joint development, which is basically a pilot project for both, and it's completely loaded with innovations. So we work together with the universities so that this vessel is really stable. So it's not only stable, but it's designed to be fast and very comfortable. So it's specifically designed for commuters. And it has some additional technologies to be stable, like a gyroscope is inside to maintain balance. And also the entertainment system is equipped with, anti-seasickness technology. Also our gangway is tuned for this application. So you see that we use lightweight materials and it's completely emission free, so that we're also thinking about a sustainable future. So how could then the future of offshore access look like? It could be so simple, like this, what we see here. It could be as easy as booking a train ticket or a flight, so that that if you want to plan your project, you do not have all the hassle. It's really easy to cross, to go to work offshore. So I'm quite proud of how we're doing this and that we can launch this risky, or this relative risky innovations within Ampelmann. But I think in the end, this does not only offer us a competitive advantage, but it's really bringing a different value proposition to the market. And in the end, the business is the one that benefits from it. Okay, so last, my conclusions. So these are our learnings, what we think that made our company successful. So maybe you can apply them in your company, but this is something we would like to share. So first one is, do not only focus on technology or on your product. So innovate on your customers, innovate on your customer needs, and sometimes you can also innovate on your customer segment. So with, for example, with the Damen vessel and the gangway combination, we're trying to create a complete new market and create a completely new revenue stream. Second, understand your market dynamics. Be critical at your own business model. We started with product as a service, but in the end, we're going to a sell and service model. Maybe in the future, we'll sell our spare parts for profit and take a completely other business model. But just keep in mind what is the market demanding from you. And last one is have an agile culture to drive meaningful innovation. So your employees know best about the product and about their service, and they know best how to improve it. So innovation doesn't need to come from the C-suite or from managers, but try to let your employees innovate on their own. For example, our engineering department has been renamed towards the innovations department. So maybe that's not a way to drive innovation for every company, but for me personally, I love it working for such a company. So thank you for listening. That was it. And we're looking forward to continue the discussion.